What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about one of the biggest leaks that's happened in Nintendo's history. Now maybe some of you guys don't know about this, but just a few days ago, the company that's responsible for holding all of Nintendo's personal internal data inside of their servers suffered an insanely huge leak. And so a bunch of hackers managed to get into this server and leak a whole bunch of confidential information that Nintendo has pretty much kept secret for years. Like, this is information that is highly illegal to steal and like to have outside. This is stuff that they have to keep in private, and a lot of the stuff, including information about the N64, about the GameCube, and the Wii, got leaked together. And this isn't just some small leak that we're talking about. We're talking about a leak of 2 terabytes. That's like 2,000 gigabytes worth of extremely confidential secret information that Nintendo has to keep secret and not really show to anyone else. And so we're talking here about some old tech demos from the N64, the entire source code for the Wii, a lot of the internal decisions that they made in developing some of their systems, some other stuff. There's a lot of things that got leaked from this entire stuff happening. Now some of you guys might be thinking, well, Aero, what's the big deal about this? Even if it was the Wii and the N64 and the GameCube, those systems are years and years old. Why does it matter now that no one even really plays those systems daily anymore? Why does it matter if information about those systems leaks now in 2020? We've got the Switch now and all that, so it doesn't really matter. Well, the thing here is that the source code of the entire Wii leaked, and that basically means that we can have a clear idea of exactly, from scratch, how Nintendo handles all of the software and the OS for the Wii and exactly how it is made up. And so for most of us as just normal Nintendo fans, this doesn't really mean all that much. If anything, it means that the emulators for these types of systems might actually improve in their quality and the performance, because now they have a clear idea of exactly how Nintendo used it with their systems. So if anything, N64 emulators, Wii emulators with Dolphin and stuff, those might see some improvements now, because they'll have a much more clear idea of exactly how Nintendo used the Wii architecture and everything. But in terms of just normal fans, there's not really much to gain from this source leak. But the reason that a leak like this is so significant is that it allows Nintendo's competitors to see exactly how Nintendo handled a lot of their stuff with the Wii, as well as some of their other systems, and that's why it's a really important thing, and that's why Nintendo is probably going to do everything they can to make sure that this information gets taken away from the internet. They will be striking down everything. This is highly illegal stuff. We're not even talking just about leaking stuff from a game early or anything like that. We're talking source codes that has years and years of development and research that they've done that's been leaked here, so they will most certainly be taking legal action. They will be going after anybody. That's why I'm not going to be posting links to the actual codes and stuff like that, to where you can find them and all of that, because I don't want to really get in trouble, and I'm sure they're going to be taking that stuff down really fast. But it is there. I'm sure if you search it, you could probably find some information about it, and I'm sure people will be talking about what they found inside of videos. But yeah, they're definitely going to be striking all of that down. Now, one of the things that was also a part of this leak was a whole bunch of PowerPoints from Nintendo about their development of the Wii and some of the decisions that they made. And so on the bottom of these slides, it does say Nintendo's developer conference, so it looks like that these PowerPoints are probably from developer conferences that they had where they were talking about the Wii system and how they were developing it and the decisions that they were making, and so developers could have a good idea of exactly what they were going to be getting when they got their dev kits and everything and began developing for this system. And so the interesting slide that I want to talk to you guys about in this video actually has to do with friend codes and why they were utilized and why Nintendo thinks that they are a good option and stuff, because I think that this is something that maybe some of you guys have been wondering as well. Friend codes have been something that we've been using on Nintendo systems for a while, and maybe some of you guys are thinking how come we don't have other ways of adding friends, and how come we don't have a much more streamlined system. And this is something that's one of my biggest things that I don't like about the Nintendo Switch, and that's why I was always curious about it, and now we do have something that could kind of give us an insight as to Nintendo's thought process. And so this was the slide that was shown. I guess this was also what they showed to their developers at the developer conferences when they talked about this. So basically this has the Wii branding on it. So this was from back in the Wii days. And you can see right here, it says the friend code. To realize this friend function, 12-digit friend codes are used. At first, there were opinions that instead of 12-digit numbers, a freely chosen screen name would be better. Problems with using screen names include there is a high probability of duplicate screen names. When this happens, multiple re-entries are required, conflicts with the simple principle. It's possible to guess someone's screen name by trying different variations of their actual name, conflicts with the comfortable principle. And so if you guys remember from back in the Wii days, the Wii also did have like a friend code system, where if you wanted to add friends on the Wii, you basically had to get your friend's code, and then you had to type it in and then add them, and they had to do the same thing with you. And it was kind of always weird, because we moved into the 3DS, and it was the similar case basically, where you had to have the friend code of your other person's 3DS, and then have to add them, and then they'd have to add you, and that's how you'd basically become friends. Now what's really interesting is that looking at this PowerPoint, it does show that Nintendo did consider using screen names at one point back in like the Wii days, instead of having friend codes, and screen names are basically like another way of saying usernames, like having a username tied to your account, kind of like how PlayStation does with their PSN names, and then how Xbox does with their Xbox Live names. But Nintendo's reasoning here does state that the reasons why they didn't do it was they did say that there was a high probability of duplicate screen names. Like, of course that's something that's understandable, but like I feel like with that, that's not really like a huge problem. You kind of just have to make it first come first serve, like whoever gets that username first basically gets it. But I think it's cool because you have a unique name for every single person who's using this system, and it's not some like really convoluted code that you have to make everybody memorize. They also said here that it would be possible to guess somebody's screen name by doing different combinations with their actual name, which is also kind of true. Like, I'm sure that could happen. If somebody's name is like Steven Smith, you could probably just do a whole bunch of combinations with Steven Smith 14 or Steven Smith something else and try to figure out what their username is. But the thing is, even if they guessed their username from using different combinations with their actual name, the thing is they would still have to send them a friend request to basically add them for their system, so the other person could just decline if they didn't want to add that person. So I don't really see it as a huge problem, but that's just my opinion. Honestly, I really feel like they kind of just overthought this, because now the friend code system is actually one of the things that I really dislike about Nintendo's online structure with a lot of their systems. Like back in the Wii days, I guess I could kind of understand it. Even the 3DS, I'll give them a pass for that, even though I didn't agree with it. But like with the Nintendo Switch now, like I remember the Wii U. If you guys remember the Wii U, if you had one, then you know that the Wii U actually did not have friend codes. It had something really cool called the Nintendo Network ID, which was basically a username. So adding friends on the Wii U was actually really simple and intuitive. You basically just had to ask your friend for what their Nintendo Network ID was. You had to go into your friend list, go into the search, type in their name, basically find them, send them a friend request, and you're good to go. It was really simple. I really loved that, and everybody had their own unique Nintendo Network ID as well. Like mine was Super Yoshi 18. That was what my Nintendo Network ID was. I didn't do anything with Aero because I wasn't even doing YouTube at that point, so I didn't even have a YouTube name. So at that point I just had like a fun Nintendo name as my username. But that system was so cool, and I really loved adding friends that way. And so after the Wii U, the Nintendo Switch was Nintendo's next new system that was on the horizon, and people were wondering exactly how the online infrastructure for that system was going to be like. And I remember being like extremely excited for the Nintendo Switch as we were getting closer to March. I was like, it's so close, I can't wait to get it. And I remember like once like reviewers started getting in their like review units of the Nintendo Switch, and they were giving reviews about how the system was like, I remember like just a few weeks before, we got information that the Nintendo Switch was going to still be using friend codes. And when this information came out, I was so confused. I was like, Nintendo's going back to friend codes? Like, that makes no sense. Even the Wii U didn't do this. The Wii U actually did it so well by having everybody have their own unique usernames. How come they're going back to this dumb friend code system from the 3DS and the Wii? Also, I don't know how many of you guys have heard about this, or if you guys even know what I'm talking about, but before the Nintendo Switch released, you were actually able to create your own unique Nintendo account that was going to be used for the Nintendo Switch, and in doing this, everybody was able to create their own unique user ID for their Nintendo account. Like, I remember this happened in like mid-February of 2017, everybody was rushing to get the username that they wanted. I actually made sure to get official Aero before anybody else could. I actually have that tied to my Nintendo account, that's my user ID. And it's so weird because I was for sure thinking that this was going to be how you were going to add friends on the Nintendo Switch. You would type in the user ID that's connected to your Nintendo account, and you'd be able to search for other people and add them with their user ID, and then be able to send them friend requests. And so here we are in 2020, and that user ID that's tied to everybody's Nintendo accounts has still not been used for anything, and it's just so weird to me how we're still using friend codes for the Nintendo Switch. Like, that's definitely one of the things that I dislike about the Switch, like how I basically have to give people a friend code for them to add me on the Switch. Now, to be fair, there are some other ways. If you do have like your Twitter account and your Facebook account linked to your Nintendo Switch, and if you have other friends who've done the same thing, you can add friends via that way. But it's just so weird to me how we still have friend codes on the Nintendo Switch, especially coming from the Wii U that actually did not have this feature and did it correctly. Like, it's definitely a step backwards, but it's kind of weird to see how Nintendo's thought process is from this source leak that happened with all of the stuff that came out. And so there you go guys, that's all the information about friend codes and why Nintendo uses them from this big leak that happened. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to click that like button and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. How do you guys feel about all of this? How do you feel about Nintendo's thought process with using friend codes and having friend codes on the Nintendo Switch? Is it also something that you guys dislike kind of like me? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely gonna have some more Nintendo content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.